Hi there, you found Queen V Crafts, my channel all about my crafting life. My name is Eve, my pronouns are she, her, and today is Flosstube episode number 33. It is the 10th of May 2026. Happy Mother's Day. This won't go up on Mother's Day, but I hope you all had a very happy belated Mother's Day. I am a little under the weather today. My throat, sinuses, I think it's pollen, Texas pollen takes me out every year. But anyways, it's been a good few weeks. I haven't been back since, second week in April, give or take. So here we are, the second week in May. I'm here to talk about my April, and I'm going to touch on my beginning of May cross stitch and other hobbies that I get up to, because I don't know, well, I know that near the end of this year my filming schedule is going to get a little chaotic, so I am trying to get stuff covered so that I don't miss anything and so that these videos aren't forever and a half long. So let's go ahead and get into what I've been stitching on. The first project that I'd like to share is a finish. It has been gifted already because it was the present that I gave my little sister for her college graduation couple of weekends ago. I don't know if it was last weekend or the weekend before. She graduated from the University of Alabama. I am wearing, let's see if I can get it up here. I am wearing my Crimson Tide t-shirt today, Roll Tide. And I am so happy with how this came out. She loved it. She called me a few weeks ago and was like, why didn't you mention me in your videos? Because I watch them. So Faith, I know you're watching. Congratulations again on the graduation, and I'm so proud of you. Here is your face forever on the internet. And the beautiful stitching that I did for her. This was a pattern from So Charming Design Co. on Etsy, and she does have her own website. She has a lot of different college campuses as well as some other notable location filming sets, things like that. I think she has Stars Hollow and Scranton and probably a couple others that I can't think of off the top of my head, but this one I stitched from November 18th last year through March 26th this year. I actually did finish the cross stitches quite a bit before then, or right around then, and it took me until like a month later to fully finish it because I couldn't quite figure out what I wanted to do with the back stitch. I knew I wanted to include her name and her major, but getting it centered and framing and all that stuff took longer than I had anticipated it to. But it's finished now. It's lovely. It's in its new home. So that is my first finish, and unfortunately my only finish for the last time. I was going super strong on my no new starts streak, and I'm trying to figure out, because I flip-flopped my camera. I'm sorry, I'm looking over here. My camera lens is over there. I was going so strong on my no new start streak, but that was broken when for May I spun my Sal wheel, and it came up with a Sal that I had not started yet. If you're unfamiliar, my Sal wheel, I do Sal a month. So everything that's on this wheel is a concluded mystery stitch along. I don't include things that I'm like, I sal'd with people that I started. It's only just patterns that were released as a stitch along. So like the Lola Crow projects are on there, any Caterpillar cross stitch, Sal's are on there, things like that, things that are labeled as a Sal when they're sold. And so I did start Song of the Seasons from Caterpillar Cross Stitch. I started this one on May 7th, and I'm hoping that this shows up okay. My lighting is wonky today, and like even when I sit back here, I'm very far down. Let's see if I can not make anyone too nauseous. And I usually iron my projects in the effort to save time today, because I knew if I ironed them, I wouldn't want to film. So here is, I'll leave it. I have a tail from where I pin stitched. Here is Song of the Seasons, and I should have recorded this video earlier in the day because the backlight, but there is the white stitches in the center. So I did start in the center, I worked my way up to the top. I'm now working my way to this side. I'll do the flower, and then I will connect the white filigree part in between. So this is Song of the Seasons. I am stitching on a 28 count even weave that I dyed with Rit dye to get this nice pale green. I think it looks really pretty. I don't know if I want to say that I love even weave. I know for like full coverage and stuff, being able to stitch like really small, I do like it, but I don't know if I'm totally sold on the over 2 aspect of even weave. Mostly because this is 28 count. I might feel differently about 32 count, but when I started with only two strands over 2, I felt like it was really sparse, and I do prefer my stitches to have more full coverage, especially on something so graphic like this. So I am using 3 strands to get the coverage that I like on this one. But I've talked about this in previous videos. I'll reiterate it quick here again. I love the look of the denser stitches. Don't love the process of stitching with 2 strands at the same time. So I will just thread my needle with 1 strand and do several passes over the first or the second leg of my X to get the coverage amount that I am looking for. So I went ahead and did that with this, but it is going to take me longer because 3 strands. I have to do 3 passes, which takes time, but I do love the way that it looks, and I will continue to use that practice, hack, I don't know what you want to call it, but there's Song of the Seasons. Beautiful. I probably should, within the month of May, try to at least finish this side and the flower. That'll give me a good anchored spot to next time I pull this out, stitch on the white filigree in there. With all of my Salamonth pieces, if I don't have the frame complete, I do try to just work on the frame like somewhere around 500 stitches. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, but I try to hit around 500 stitches if I'm not done with the frame. If I'm done with the frame, my goal is to stitch in order of how the parts were released and complete that part within the month. Since most mystery stitch alongs come out and have you stitch a part in a couple of weeks, sometimes they're huge and I don't have the time when they're originally released to do that. So stitching it in a month seems a lot more doable, at least in my mind. And with all the other projects and games and stuff that I do, it is much more manageable. All right. So the next start that I have to show you is actually a restart. Third time's the charm. I had started back in October of last year, A Girl and Her Kitties from Eder, Jose, Rosa, and Stitch is So Beautiful. Here was my original start. Make sure. Yeah, I think so. This is my original start. And this one, I think I had tried to, and I apologize for noise. My cat wants to be in here today. I usually don't let him in here, but he was making a lot of noise out there. So now he's making a lot of noise in here. Just gonna wait for him to get wherever he's going. Okay. So back to this. When I had started this, I think I was trying to figure out how I wanted to stitch. Like, I know Jessie Marie does stuff, stitches in pages, in stair-step diagonals. Some people just stitch like full cross country. I know like Crafty Gaming Jamie stitches a lot of her full coverage, like totally cross country. Some people are like very strict to the diagonal. Some people are color completers, like you run the gambit. So I have 2 other full coverage that I'm stitching different ways, and I wanted to try a different method to see if I liked that one better. So I did start this one thinking I was going to do stair step diagonals in the 10 by 10 block with 1 strand on 25 count. Realized that I really wasn't sold on that. So I restarted it, and I was just going to stitch in the diagonal, I think 20 stitch wide diagonals. Could you not? Ash. Where was I? This cat's making a lot of noise. So I was just going to stitch this one over one in the diagonal. Okay, whatever. Realized I don't think I want to do that either, because I was like, okay, this is nice, whatever. I think that what was bothering me is the coverage I was getting. This 1 over 1 is fine, but this is a big piece, and I kind of wanted to try 10 stitch. And when I did 10 stitch on 25 count, my test wasn't sold. So I realized it was the 25 count that was giving me gripes. And I luckily had a piece of 28 count easy grid that I had cut off from my other massive full coverage that was going to be wide enough and tall enough for this piece. So I did restart A Girl and Her Kitties, and I've been watching, or was watching Andrew the Runner Stitcher. He mentioned Cross Stitch Meadow. So I went over and I watched Cross Stitch Meadow's video on how he tackles his full coverage. And I really liked that idea. Highly recommend going to watch that video if you are interested in either starting a full coverage or trying out a different method of how you stitch full coverage. But basically he stitches predominantly in the diagonal, row by row. It's very methodical, and I like that, knowing where I'm going next, where I'm going to be parking my thread. And he stitches in the same direction as me, so we park in the same spot, which I was like, okay, great. I don't even need to like think how to reverse this or anything. I can just follow what he does. And so I pulled out 28 count and realized I could do the same method with 10 stitch. So here is my restart of Girl and Her Kitties. This is the top left-hand corner. And previously I'd spoken about how I liked stitching from the top right-hand corner down because of where I park my threads, but doing it in this method, I can park where I like to without having threads interfere with other threads. Okay, I'm almost tempted to restart this video, but I'll edit out the chaos, you'll see. So my restart of Girl and Her Kitties on 28 count, easy grid Lugana, 2/1 half cross or 10 stitch, whatever you want to call it. And I think it looks great. I'm really happy with how this is coming along so far. I restarted this last night and already have 210 stitches done. So I will probably continue working on this over the next day or so. I want to get to where I was previously, which I think was close to 500 stitches into the project as a whole. So that is what I will be doing. And those are my two starts and my finish. Let's talk about WIPs. So for apologizing now for the zipper, I probably should have said that beforehand. But April, let's go back to April WIPGO, where number 13 was called. When number 13 is called, Jessie pulls 2 additional projects because on a standard WIPGO board, number 13 is the free space. I wanted to make it harder on myself and did fill my entire board with projects. I will put up over here my WIPGO board for 2026. I have allocated the spots to my 5 oldest WIPs, 5 largest WIPs, I should say. And each square, so across the board, the WIPGO, those are the projects. The numbers down are 1 through 500 stitches. So if I get a project called, it could be called, twice in a month because the vertical. It really is never more than 900 stitches because 500 plus 400 is the max. That hasn't happened yet, thankfully. But I have had like 2 500s called at the same time, so I've had to put in 1,000 stitches just for WIPGO related stuff alone. I think I'm gonna sit back a little bit, so I'm gonna tip this down. So 13 for me is Candie from Whittier Stitches, art by Culpepper. I I was tasked to stitch 300 stitches, did 367. Here's where it was the last time and where it is now. This one is on 32 count gingerbread from Picture This Plus, 2/2 with the call for DMC for the blue dress and skin tone 2. I want to say I predominantly worked in Tristan's moon. The cat in this pattern does have a name. His name is Tristan. She's beautiful, she's Grace. She's taken me 10,000 years longer than she should have taken me. But with the way that WIPGO is laid out this year, I will have put at the very least 1,500 stitches into her. I don't remember total stitch count, how many more I need, but if she's not done by the end of this year, she will be my focus piece for the beginning of excuse me, 2027, because I would like her done. I would like her done, period, end of story. Mostly because this was supposed to be a test stitch. When Kat released Candie in 2023, I was supposed to test stitch her for the blue dress, and hasn't been done yet. So here she is. She's moving along. I think next time I take her out, I'm going to continue to work in this area and finish out Tristan, and then everything from here above will be done full crosses. I will just then need to backstitch and bead, and I will just have to focus on, luckily, big blocks of color in the skirt, but big skirt. I wanted to try and move through this video kind of quickly because lots of stuff to talk about, but here I am yapping. I know I'm going to edit some of this down, but my timer already says 25 minutes. So let's get a move on, shall we? Go back in the back, please. Just where I put some of these systems right there. Nope. Just toss you right down there. In project bags, I'm not throwing my stitching around, don't worry. Okay. Zipper. The next project that was called for WIPGO was Stardew Valley. This is by the free chart from ChiChiZeKitty. I know that there are other places you can find the Stardew Valley map, or you can, you know, chart it yourself for personal use. Just take the pixel art and put it into a generator. Stardew Valley also called for 300 stitches. I did 301. Here is where it was. Here is where it is. Fabric is 16 count easy grid. I predominantly worked, I think, finished out a diagonal. I think this one was still needing stitches, and then worked down in here and put a couple in up there. After learning Cross Stitch Meadows' approach to full coverage, I might move back over to this side and continue from that direction down. I don't know. I still have a diagonal to finish here. Maybe. If I finish when? not if, when I finish this diagonal, I might jump back up and work from this direction down. I don't know why I would, it just could be fun. I don't know. They're almost meeting in the center. Like, not this diagonal, but the next one I will have met the two together. So that'll be fun. An exciting little milestone, if you will. And if I didn't say 2 strands over 1, full cross. And this is not my oldest WIP, it's my second oldest WIP. But it's also my smallest full coverage project, and I know that if I just focused my attention a little bit more, I could get this one done reasonably quickly. But who's got time for that? Who's got the attention span for that? Surely not I. Okay. So that was Stardew Valley. Zipper. The last project that was called for WIPGO was PokeAll from Lord Libidan. This one's a free chart that you can find on his website. Lo Santo. I have to unfold a blanket to show you this project. Hold please. Okay, so that took me wrangling so much time. Okay, finally pulled myself together. PokeAll, where it is, I was also tasked to stitch 300, did 335. Woo, as I throw it on the ground. Throw it on the ground. This one I'm stitching on 18 count, light blue, I think it's a Witchel light blue Eder, with 1 strand. If I could go back in time before I stitched all of that, I would use 2 strands. I say that because if you look really closely, granted, no one should be looking at your full coverage this close, but it is a bit sparse, especially in the darker colors, like here in Wheezing. It's definitely a little bit more sparse. When you pull back and look at it from the distance you're supposed to be looking at it from, you can't tell, and so that's why I'm not going to worry about it. However, my full coverage projects, I know now that I like them to be more plush, more full coverage. So if I were to stitch with 1 strand, I'd want to do on, if I'm doing full cross, on 28 count, even weave, or on a 20 count Eder, for example. So with this one, I pretty sure I filled in Jigglypuff and then like kind of tried to work along this page bottom. This is one that I feel doesn't really lend itself well to diagonals or anything because this originally is charted with a white background. I've taken that out so that my fabric can show through, but because it's not an option to do no background, I can't tell what white stitches in this piece show through. I can't tell if they're eyes or if they're background pieces. So I am just skipping over any white stitches for right now until I finish whatever creature I'm working on, and then I can tell where, if there's white in the eyes or white in the design of the Pokemon, then I can fill it in. So that does require a little bit more jumping around. So I am doing kind of cross-country by page. I'm going to try and work across the top pages first. I worked down because I started in the center left. And that project is my oldest cross stitch project. That one I started beginning of 2023, I want to say. That sounds right. I had done a couple other smaller pieces before that, but that is my first large, like, I kitted everything up specifically for that project, bought the fabric specific. So yeah, because it's my oldest project and because it's full coverage, I know that it is going to take me a long time. However, because it's my oldest project and really I don't bring it out that much, mostly because it's that blanket of a fabric, I would like to dedicate more time next year. I know like Elizabeth Frizzy Lizzie has specific goals for each month for the full coverage that she's working on. And I think I want to kind of adapt that as well. So I can stitch a certain amount each month to hit a goal to hopefully get me through the top row of pages by the end of next year. I might have to like adapt that some because obviously she's stitching more in the diagonal. The methods are different, but we'll see where that one takes me next year. The next project that I have to show you, and remember we're still in April here, zipper, is my Salamonth project that I pulled for April. This is the Empyrean stitch along from Forbidden Fiber Co. I think this one is so fun, but I have barely worked on it. So I was happy when this one spun on Salamonth because I knew, even with all of my WIPGO stuff going on, that I could finish the first part of this one. And so here's where it was. Here's where it is. Fabric is 40 count Feathertail. That was dyed for the Sal. I'm using the called for Forbidden Fiber Co flosses, 1/2. And I was able to finish out the first part, which is just the center that says a dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A dragon without its rider is, a dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without its dragon is dead. If you are a fan of Fourth Wing, I don't know if this is still available, but I would definitely go check because there are a lot of good quotes and bits and pieces that she's pulled from Fourth Wing to make this stitch along, and it is a lot of fun. And so yeah, I finished out all of the words and the border. And I write down 318 stitches to get that section done. And I said, okay, it is done. I will put it down and move on. Because there are other things that I need to get through. So that is what I worked on for Salamonth in April. And I already showed you Salamonth for May, so we're good. The Next project that I worked on is Heather's Round Robin. We're stitching ink circles Rosetta. And this one, I love it. It's beautiful, but I am like so over it. I want it to be done. We started back in August of 2024, I think. Yeah, because I've been here for over a year. I started this piece, like my project, when I was living in Virginia Beach. And since then, I've moved from Virginia Beach to Northern Virginia and Northern Virginia to Texas. And we're still doing this project. So I have turned into the bottleneck a little bit. I'm going to show you, I'm going to try and cover maybe some of the other colors so you only get a taste. Because we're not really showing on these ones, like we're not messaging about it. So I'll cover this up in case anyone wants like more of a surprise. I'm the bottleneck. That's what I was trying to say. This video is already 40 minutes. Bottleneck, I have this piece plus 3 others. The 3 others that I have, the last one is the last one. I won't have to stitch on any of them anymore. But I'm working on Heather's right now. I'm getting close to being done. It's taking me way too long, but I think mentally I'm kind of over the circles, the border. I know for sure I'm over the trying to pick my own colors part. So yeah, enough chit chat, enough rambling. Here is Heather's. The thread I chose is Mosaic Silk Fright Night. And it's this beautiful dark blue, purple, variegated, that you really can't tell unless you're looking at it in person. It just looks very dark. But it's a beautiful complement to this project. This will be done this week and mailed. Just telling myself that now. Might have to be mailed on Friday, but that is what we will be getting done. Okay. So that is all of April, and I showed you Sal month because it was a start for May. I will say April in terms of my challenges was just meh. I'll show you my project book really quick. So I was able to complete all of my WIPGO calls and Sal month. But that was really all I stitched on in April, minus Rosetta. So I didn't really have any chance to pull out a piece that correlated with I Spy, and I didn't work on anything that fit any of those prompts. So we're hoping that May looks a little bit different. And I will show you my project notebook here in just a bit. I had fun pulling out the project for May's WIPGO zipper because it was the only project called in January, and now is the only project called in May. So I only have one box left on this particular project before that column is filled in for the year. I'm talking about Cosmic Lover from Medusa Dollmaker. This charting is from GeckoRouge, where you can no longer get her patterns, but I should go look. She has some of her cross-stitch patterns on her website. They're not exactly the same, but they are pretty darn close. And if you like her artwork, they're so much fun to stitch. Anyways, Cosmic Lover was called for both 100 and 300 stitches. I completed the first goal, the first 100 stitches. I was like, awesome, yay, cool, I got it. And didn't think to look back at my challenge book. I was under the impression that I was stitching this for 400 stitches, not 300. So I did put in 103 for the first call, and then 437 for the second call, even though I was only supposed to put in 300. This one got extra stitches, which is awesome. It'll be fun to see at the end of the year how more or few than 1,500 each project gets. But here's where Cosmic Lover was. Here's where Cosmic Lover is now. This one is on 28 count, easy grade Lugana, with the kit materials. This was the kit fabric, but they wanted me to stitch over 2 and make this thing massive. Wasn't gonna happen. So, exciting milestone. I worked this line. That's the other side. That's the width. I don't know what I was doing when I was counting and starting this, but, or cutting this off, I should say. Ta-da! Full width, hit a corner, other corner. I kind of am going a little all over the place, little rogue on this. I did want to get to this other corner, and once I hit, this is the halfway point, I was like, I can just work one line across to the other side. But I do want to adapt this project into Cross Stitch Meadows' suggestion. So I will go back to working in this diagonal. Maybe only by the 3x3. I might do a little bit more than that. We'll see. Or I might do less than that. I don't know. But we'll work across the top, and then the next, and then the next, and so on and so forth until it's done. And I'm excited because I think right about in here, I get to add some new colors. I've literally only been working with 4 or 5 shades of gray since I started this project. And I am so excited because they're like kind of yellowy gold colors. And then, you know, we'll get into her. So excited. Okay, and that is all of my projects for April and the beginning of May. I do have some more plans for the rest of May that I want to get working on, but now I've got full coverage on the brain with A Girl and Her Kitties. So we'll see. I do have to finish Rosetta. At the very least, finish Heather's and mail it, because I know that there are people waiting for pieces because I'm holding on to them. So if y'all are watching this, ladies, I'm so sorry. I am moving through them as quickly as I can. My goal is to have this whole project wrapped up by like the end of the summer. I don't know if that's feasible because here we are like almost halfway through May already. but I'm gonna try. Okay. I'm gonna show you my challenge book, and we're gonna get into plans and then acquisitions and some of the extra stuff that I have gotten up to. So hang out for plans. If you don't like to see what I've purchased, you're more than welcome to dip out then. But let's get through plans so you can know what I'm working on for the rest of May. Here is my challenge book. So I do plan on putting more stitches into Song of the Seasons, and then I will, you know, when I hit that number that I feel is a good start, that'll get marked there. These two games, I tend to fill in the acrostic like at the end of the month and just try and populate it with things that I did stitch on. I Spy this month is a little bit different. Laura has said we're going to stitch a song. We're stitching My Favorite Things from Sound of Music. So we're interpreting it however we want. I pulled out 18 prompts, words from the song. There's a lot of things that you can take inspiration from to stitch. So this is what I chose. I don't know if I'm going to get to everything. I don't know if I chose project or prompts that I can even fulfill. So there are so many. If I don't get to all of them, if I don't get to any of them, I'm not upset. Like, it's a game. It's just to encourage me to pull out different projects for stitching. But I've got so many goals. It's just kind of fun to see where I can populate it at the end of the month. But you'll see I did already put up WIPGO and the stitches that I did. So that is my May challenge book. Plans, obviously you see I'm doing WIPGO, I Spy, the Crafts and Books Acrostic, and Salamonth. However, I do want to finish or get very close to a finish on Rainbow Crossing from Silver Creek Samplers. I kind of let this one fall behind from where I wanted it to be because of stitching graduation present. And I would like to get this one done by mid to end of June, because that'll be the 10-year anniversary of my first dog's passing. It's also Manning May. I have one Carolyn Manning piece on the go, Sunflower Symphony. This one's been a WIP for 2 years. And it is fun to try and get a block or two done in the month of May. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but I would like to try to at least work on it for 1 or 2 days to say, oh, I stitched on my Carolyn Manning in May. And then Rosetta. I need to finish at the very least Heather's, but I think that I also need to get halfway through the next project. I'm super thankful for the ladies that come to 3 Stitches every second Saturday, because I get to bounce my ideas off them. So I brought all of my Mosale silk and said, hey, these are the 3 next projects that I need to work on. Here's all my silk. Pick me a good thread, because I can't mentally. I just want to stitch it. I don't want to have to do the figuring things out part. So they were great. They said, this one pulls colors from here, this one, they were great. Made great choices. So excited to stitch with those threads. And yeah. So those are my plans. Hopes and dreams. We'll see if I get to everything. I know for sure. I mean, WIPGO's done already for May. And Salamonth is moving right along for May. So my real focus is going to be on finishing Rosetta and starting the next one. Putting, I think I need to do like 1,000 stitches on Rainbow Crossing, if not more than that. And then picking up Sunflower Symphony, maybe for 500 stitches. That sounds doable. And yeah, those are all my plans. So if you are not a fan of haul acquisitions, I will let you go here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you liked what you saw, like, subscribe, leave me a comment down below what you're stitching on. If there's anything that you're excited for, you know, we're into spring now. Obviously, you can hear the spring in my sinuses. Or if there's, I know people have just got back shortly ago from Stitch North. I know there are some other retreats happening here in several weeks, a couple weeks. And I love living vicariously through you. I loved going to my first cross stitch retreat. I would love to go back to a cross stitch retreat at some point. But life is just so crazy and it's expensive. And I don't have the disposable income right now to be able to get myself to a retreat like that. But I'm so blessed to have 3 stitches close by that I can stitch every second Saturday with those ladies. And we have a great time. It's so much fun. So yeah, if that's all you're here for, I'll let you go. Thank you again, and I will see you next time. If you're hanging out for my acquisitions, I'd like to think that I didn't buy a lot, but I kind of did. Not from a bunch of different places, just from Mosale and 3 Stitches, and then I had placed a 1, 2, 3 stitch order. And that's all of the places that I purchased from, but you'll see. So let's start with 1, 2, 3 stitch. A couple of weeks ago, when I was in 3 Stitches, I overheard that the Gentle Art was discontinuing several colors of threads. And I was like, really? Like, no one has said anything about that. Like, I haven't seen it anywhere. And I kid you not, when I got home that day and looked at Lindy Stitch's Instagram, Steph had posted, oh, these Gentle Arts are getting discontinued. Like, here's what threads won't exist anymore if you have projects with them. Like, you might want to get them now. So I have been on a journey to complete sets of overdyed flosses so I can do conversions, or if there are things that I want to start, I just have the threads for. I am very close to finishing the Gentle Art line. I think I only have like 30 threads left, but I was like, I don't have some of the ones that are getting discontinued. I should probably get like several. So because I've only been buying 1 skein of most of these, I bumped it up so I would have 3 skeins of each of these discontinued. So the first thread that I already had 2 skeins of is Bluebell. How do I hold this so that it's covering my face? And then I got 2 skeins of Cotton Candy. One skein of Creek Bed. I'm a little bummed because Dragonfly is usually much more variegated than this particular skein that I got is, but Dragonfly. I got 2 skeins of jasmine. A skein of lavender potpourri. Two skeins of mint jubilee. One of pineapple sherbet. This one always shows up white in camera, but there's such a very light yellow variegation to it. It's really kind of cool. And then I have verdigris that I had not purchased any of yet, so I do have 3 skeins of verdigris. And I had not purchased any of ragdoll, so I have 3 skeins of ragdoll. I have 2 of Summer Meadow. And 3 of Summer Shower. I will say this first skein that I'm going to show you right here is definitely darker than the other 2, but Summer Shower. And those are all the threads that are getting discontinued from the Gentle Art, which is kind of a bummer. Like, some of them are really pretty, especially all those like pinky purples. Hopefully they re-add some of those colors into like a new release or something. Okay, and then I have my threads from 3 Stitches. I get 5 Classic Colorworks and 5 Gentle Art every month when I go. And Stitchy Saturday was yesterday, so I do have, this is from April, and then I also have the ones from May. So I got last month Lemongrass, Lemon Lime, Little Brown House, Little Sprout, and Lunar Eclipse. And then from the Gentle Art, I have Pecan or Pecan Pie, however you like to say it. Who was I dropping on myself? Picket Fence, Picnic Basket, Pink Azalea, this one, and Pomegranate. Put those there, and I'm gonna try and not crinkle, but might have to edit this out. Then from this time, I don't have them on a floss ring because they were literally just still in the bag. Macaroni and cheese. This is so fun. I love this color. Mariner's Compass. Meadow Green. This one's also really cool. Mermaid's Fin. And Milady's Teal. From the Gentle Art, Poppy. I should pull this one inside out. Putty. Raspberry Frost. Red Grape. And Red Plum. Those are all the cotton threads. I did buy Moe's. Sue me. Okay. Hold on here. I will say this is also so hard. I am getting to the point where I have a lot of colors from Mo. So I am slowing down my purchasing habits. But trying to be like conscientious of what colors I already have and what do I not have a lot of, and where can I like have more variation. So all of these are named after florals. This is Green Spider Mum. Just dropped one on the floor. This is Blue Orchid. Tiger Lilies. So fun. Oh, I love that color. It's beautiful. Aster. This is like the most solid color I've ever gotten from Mel, which is so super nice. And Chocolate Cosmos. Chocolate Cosmos, not Cosmos. Cosmos, the flower. Lastly on this ring is Cherry Blossoms. So good. This pink is so good. Okay. I don't remember exactly what order I purchased some of these things in. I know that there was a special sale that she did where she brought the price of her skeins down some just to kind of move through old stock. She opened up like all of the old posts from this year and was like, if anyone wants anything. So, but we're still just on normal weekly posts. This is Baby Shark. This is Brown. That's a boring name. Are you sure it doesn't have another name? Nope, just Brown. It's not even really like a true brown in my opinion. It's like purpley brown. And then I have Cluck Cluck. Next bag. Smoked Trout. Eminence. This is a good purple. And Larkspur. And then we have the skeins from previous weeks. Kept them all together. Oh, Lavender Haze. Red. And that was a Taylor Swift inspired one. I don't remember buying this one a second time, but this is Matilda. But I guess I did, because Andrea, Boysenberry, Damson, Lush, and Enchanted. That's all my moves. And that's all my buying. I guess I forgot to mention from 3 Stitches, my friend Christine said that these particular needles don't tarnish as fast. I like Bowen, but she said that these don't tarnish as fast. And they're petites, and I've kind of been wanting to try a shorter needle to see if I like it better. And I know a lot of people say you can get more stitches out of a thread with a petite needle because you don't have to, like, it's shorter. So you don't have to work as hard to get it to stay threaded when you're playing thread chicken. So I didn't realize they were petites, but we'll try it out for a little bit, see how I feel. And then I also got a new container of Thread Magic because mine is all the way over there, is looking a little rough. I'm not gonna lie. I did lose the cap at one point, so it's just been out in the open, living its best life, getting all full of cat hair. So I wanted to get one with a lid, at the very least, to just have a backup when inevitably that one stops being usable. So yeah. This video is already pretty long, so I'm just gonna try and breeze through the last bit here where I have books, some sewing, and it's all the way over there. I won't show you my sock this time. I'm hoping that I'll have that sock either done or very close to done. I'll only have to do the toe. Here within a couple of weeks, but really realistically it's going to be a few months because knitting is not my main hobby. I like to take my knitting in the car with me, and like when I'm waiting to go into work, like I show up early because traffic is so unpredictable. When I'm waiting and I'm listening to my audiobook, I'll knit. But really, like, that's it. That's the extent of me knitting, is here and there. So I won't show you my sock right now, but I will say that I finished the leg, the heel flap, the gusset decreases the turn. I am working on the foot. And that was a lot. Once I got through it, I realized, oh, this was fine, but it was pretty complicated because it was something that I was trying for the first time. But it's fine. Like, for a first time vanilla sock, it's got some flaws, but it should be fine. Books. Let's go through books. The first book that I read that I finished in April was Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I read this with my mom as part of our book club. We do have the next book picked out. I am going to try and start that by the end of May, the very latest beginning of June. There's been so much going on. Neverwhere was a really interesting kind of, I had to reread things so many times. There were so many characters, so much happening, but it was very thought-provoking and there was a lot of symbolism, and it was just overall a really great read. I gave it 4.5 stars just because it felt like some of the storylines ended more abruptly than I would have liked them to. And because they ended so abruptly or kind of ambiguously, I figured, oh, this is an opportunity for the author to wrap up their story by the end, and that never was finished, at least in the way that I wanted them to be finished. They probably had meaning why they were finished the way they were, but 4.5 stars for Neverwhere. Then next I read The Theory of Dreaming from Ava Reed. This one I gave 4 stars. This was the sequel to A Theory of Drowning, I think is what it was called. I don't really remember that one. And to be honest with you, I don't really remember this one. I remember when I finished reading it, I was like, wow, that was a good story. But immediately pushed it from my mind. So maybe I should have dropped this score down to like 3.5, 3. A good story. I enjoyed it. But it was forgettable. Like, I remember highlights, but I don't know. It was fine. So that is Theory of Dreaming. I also, in April, finished The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I have been reading this book in the physical form since I have it on my Fable. I want to say it was like September of 2024. Just goes to show that I'm really not reliable when it comes to reading physical books. I definitely move through audiobooks so much faster. However, Midnight Library, I gave 5 stars. I thought it was so well written, even though there was a lot happening, and a lot of like scene changes. I never felt lost of what was going on. And honestly, the storyline hit so close to home. I just felt like, oh my gosh, if only this is how our plane of reality existed. I cried at the end. I was literally lying in bed and finishing it, and I just burst into tears. My husband was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, this is such a good book. So I typically don't cry when reading or listening to a book, but this one was just so emotional for me. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it already to give it a try. I think the like surrealism of it might not be for everyone, but it definitely hit close to home for me, and I'd recommend it. So that's The Midnight Library. I then read really quickly Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I love a murder mystery. This one, I need to look up who the narrator is because I listened to this one on audiobook, and there's one specific Australian narrator who I've listened to a couple of books that she's done. And she's so fun, especially since like the books that she does are ones that are based in Australia. So it just feels more real, like you're in the moment with her. But back to the story, it was funny. I laughed out loud sometimes. It was heavy. I felt like, oh, this is so sad. And then obviously the twist, the whodunit part of it, not twist, the whodunit part of it. And also this whole book, you don't know who died until the end. I was constantly guessing. It was just overall a really decent book. I enjoyed it immensely. Not enough for me to like feel it warranted 5 stars, but it's right up there. So yeah, then the last book that I'm going to talk about, I read the very beginning of May, and I listened to it on our drive from Texas to Alabama for graduation, and then from Alabama back to Texas. And that's Caught Up from Nevessa Allen. This is the second in the Into the Darkness, I think is the name of the series. Lights Out was the first book in the series. It was my number 1 read from 2025. This one was fine. I liked it. I will say it wasn't quite as humorous as Lights Out was. I was laughing out loud while reading or listening to Lights Out. Caught Up was definitely darker. And much more. I'm trying to think back to Lights Out. I feel like there was a good balance between the spice and the humor and like the storyline. Where Caught Up, I can't even really think about like what the storyline was. It was just so much spice that, you know, I read spicy books. I like it when there's a good balance between story and spice. So I gave Caught Up 4 stars only because I feel like there could have been a better balance between the story and the spice, as well as I think most of my rating system comes off of like my personal preference and some of the themes and, you know, just how this book, the darkness of it was written, really wasn't my cup of tea. Lights Out that was so good. Caught Up, it was good. If you liked Lights Out, you should read the next book, and I'm in line to listen to Game On, which is the 3rd book. I am excited because at the end of Caught Up, I feel like I know who the couple is that we're going to be following in Game On. So that's that. Let's really quick, I did sew something. I made another project bag. This one I'm going to put my patriotic stitches in. I have 2 WIPs, and then I feel like because it's the 250th anniversary this year, I should start another Americana project. But I made a project bag for those WIPs. Fabric and zipper, I think, are all from Michaels. The interfacing as well. I like for these Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch project bags they're definitely stiffer. I use the Heat and Bond extra firm. But yeah, I cut it so that the stripes lay this way. The top part is the stars, the back is the stars, and obviously under here is stars, but lining is also red stripes and a white zipper. And yeah, project bag. This one, I will say, was a little annoying because I could not get the, where you sew around and then leave the hole for turning. I couldn't, when I turned it inside out, or when I turned it right side out, I should say, I could not get the 2 little pieces of fabric like that you're supposed to fold and iron so that you can top stitch. Could not get them to lie the way that I wanted them to. So I was like, I'm over it. We're done. So I just shoved all of it in there and slammed my iron on it. It's inside the bag. Like, if I open this up, I'm not going to be like hardcore looking at the bottom. Like, my project's gonna be in here and I just grab my project and take it out. Like, I can show you guys. It's not even that big a deal. Like, it's just, the seam is more exposed than I would have liked in this bag where, the whole point is to turn it and have all of your seams inside. the fabric. Is that everything? I think that's everything that I have to talk about. I had to get up, so I have to pause this several times and cut things together, but my timer says 1.5 hours. So I'm hoping it's not that long. I am gonna hopefully come back here at the end of May and give you a recap of what I worked on the rest of May. So hopefully that's only a couple of projects, will go quicker. And so going into June, things might be a little bit more chaotic. I guess we can get into like a little bit of life. The other customer experience manager, the full-time customer experience manager that I work with, has found another job opportunity, and so she's leaving Michael's. So it's just going to be me, the store manager, and the ops manager, who are like responsible for day-to-day activities. The replenishment manager and the framing manager they take care of their departments, but neither are very well versed in like sales floor related stuff. So I think my work schedule is going to get busier, at least for the next couple of weeks. My store manager was telling me, hey, I've already started interviewing for that position, but we're trying to be very strategic on who we hire for that position going forward, because it does take kind of a more experienced individual in retail. Obviously, I had no managerial experience prior to taking this position, but I did work in that position. I was on the front end. I was on the sales floor for 1.5 years before becoming a manager. So I at least have the experience of working with customers and knowing where products are and how to use products and whatever. Also, I'm pretty sure out of everyone who works at Michael's, I am the most crafty. We have several people that are painters. We have several people that make like Cricut related stuff. But I'm probably the only one that is interested in a wide variety of hobbies. So they tend to defer to me on a lot of different stuff, which is both really nice. I feel very like, thanks. But it's also like, okay, I have other stuff I need to do. I can't go around the store a bunch of times just answering questions about stuff. So we're hoping to find someone who is both experienced in retail, but hopefully has some crafting experience. But yeah, we're just going into new weather. It's hot. I walked outside today to take the dog out, and it's, I think, already well into the mid to high 90s, and it's humid. So one thing about Southeast Texas, it's hot and wet, like, and that's what makes it so hard to be outside. This time of year is just so wet because it rains so much, and then it's hot because it's May. So everything is hot and wet. And that's, I think, everything that I've got for you today. We're gonna go over and hang out with my sister-in-law and her kiddos for Mother's Day. And so that should be a lot of fun. And the next time that I see you, I'm hoping will be the very like the first week in June, that would be ideal. If not, like the second week of June, maybe. And then after June, schedule for filming might get a little wonky again, but that will be the goal. Okay, I will let you all go here. I know this has been a long one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you liked what you saw, consider subscribing to my channel. I have gained quite a few of you just new subscribers in the last couple of months, so thank you for that. And I am not super close, but like reasonably close to 500 subscribers on YouTube. And if I could get to 500, I have a really special giveaway. I think this is the first time that I've mentioned it. So once I get a little bit closer, like I think I'm at 300 and something, if I get another 100 subscribers, I can talk about what I plan on giving away when I hit 500. But yeah, thanks y'all. I will talk to you next time. Until then, happy stitching. Just as surprised as you.